Hello, everyone. Thanks for dropping in. This is Healing Body, Mind, and Soul. I'm your host, Aeriol Asher, and today I have a couple of announcements. I'm super excited that our Empowered Self-Care book has yet another author on board, and we'll be featuring her interview shortly. Today's guest is Raina Munson, and I have to just give a little bit of background about how I met Raina. My listeners all know that I tend to go places, I lock eyes with people, and I just know who is going to be the next fabulous guest here on the Healing Body, Mind, and Soul podcast network. Now, a couple of you may have heard the episode where I talked a little bit about hypnotherapy training. I met Raina, my next guest, at that hypnotherapy training, and that was the training by Michael Stevenson, and hopefully we'll get him here on the podcast. And it was really a great training, very inexpensive and wonderful. And for 3 days, I got to hang out with people that were into mind-body connection. I met the most wonderful people who were up to the biggest things and who were excited about going forward and serving the greater community. Raina was one of those people. She's got a very powerful presence. She's a real beauty, and I think you're going to want to lean in and hear her story about what she's doing to empower self-care on the planet. Raina, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Aeriol.
Raina, I would just love for you, just lay it on us, girlfriend. Just tell us a little bit about your story and how you got into being a healing practitioner.
Okay, well, it's very roundabout. I think most people's story is a little bit of a winding road, but mine basically started, I worked in the corporate field for quite some time in marketing, and I loved it, had a great career, was with a really fantastic company, doing a lot of work with musicians and people in the music industry, so very exciting and what people would deem glamorous, but also a lot of work. At a point in that, in my career, I came to a crossroads. My children were getting a little bit older and had a lot of involvement with school activities and sports. And because of the demands of my job, I was traveling quite frequently. And I just wanted to kind of redirect my energies back into the home a little bit. My husband also has a very demanding career. So we jointly decided that I would kind of shift gears and start doing some things that were more entrepreneurial. So at that point, I kind of went into my bag of tricks because I am a Jill of all trades, master of none. But you know,
no, you're a Reiki master. I heard you say that.
True.
Do you have 10,000 hours yet? You know what they say, 10,000 hours, right?
Exactly. So I basically went into a love that I've had since very early in my life of fashion and design and the arts, and I became a personal shopper and stylist, and I was working in that industry for a few years as my children were matriculating through high school. It was wonderful. I had great success, wonderful clients, met a lot of people, and what I started to realize is no matter what industry I was in, I started to become kind of a repository for people's stories. People kind of just gravitated to me, and my children, actually, my daughter, who's very observant and very intuitive, kind of one night was like, "Mommy, why does everybody want to talk to you?" I just kind of was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "When we go on vacation, when we're here watching a movie at night, your phone is ringing, and it's always somebody who wants to talk to you for a long time." And so it kind of evolved into a conversation that we all had as a family about this thing that had also my husband had been noticing for quite some time and kind of had normalized in our lives, that I've just got something about me that draws people in and makes them feel comfortable sharing their very deepest, most intimate stories and secrets. And I never really looked at it as anything that wasn't normal. I thought it was something that everyone did and everyone had, and I never thought of it as any type of a gift. But through that conversation, I started to explore what made me the most happy, the most fulfilled, made me have the most purpose. And it was really just helping others and being that person that they could go to, being a touchstone for a lot of different people at various stages of life. I did some corporate training and coaching years ago. And I always kind of attribute it, and this is ego speaking, to, oh, well, I'm a good listener and I give such sage advice. And this is why people who've never met me before unload their deepest, darkest. But, you know, after I kind of moved out of ego and into spirit, I began to realize that there was a gift there. And as other very intuitive and very deeply spiritual people began to interact and engage with me, they really started to draw it out and really name it and tell me, you have a very deep gift, you're an intuitive, you're an empath. The reason that you've always been successful in whatever job that you've had is because you have an ability to connect with people on a very deep level, energetically and spiritually. And you can read their emotional barometer in a way that most people can't. And I do realize that there was something to it, because when I'd be pitching or when I'd be in a meeting, I could always shift gears mid flow. If things weren't connecting, I could kind of take the temperature. So that's really about 7 years ago. That's when my Reiki journey began. I got certified and I just fell in love with the modality, and I continued to train and learn and became master level certified, and then just started to add additional facets to my practice. And I became a success coach, just drawing on my previous work experience. Okay. And then when I heard about NLP or hypnotherapy, I was intrigued, because I definitely want to help people shift their thinking and their speech patterns and the way they present, and how we manifest and attract things in our lives is through the way in which we set goals and set milestones in our lives. And so basically that's what brought me to the training, and that's kind of where we are today. I have a brick and mortar and I do a lot of things here, but really everything kind of comes back to being of service to others and helping them find that, like you said, mind, body, spirit connection.
Yeah, I think if I could just make an observation, I think that magnetism that you're talking about, I wouldn't be surprised if you have a 5 somewhere in your because you seem like a speaker listener. They call that the Hierophant. I don't know if you're familiar with the tarot, but you have a real Hierophant kind of archetype about you. I have some of that in my chart as well. I love that magnetism that you talk about, and that being able to draw people in. And also I love the part of your story where you're like, you thought that was just normal, that's how people roll, right?
Right.
But it's not. It really is a gift. I would venture to say, besides being an empath, that you're also probably clairaudient. I find people with that skill set that we're talking about here, clairaudient, and you just hear things when these people are coming to you and talking to you. You just hear things, like you hear things between the cracks of what they're saying.
I think you might be really right.
You know, I think that deep listening like that is a true gift, because you can find out what people are really up to, right? They'll tell you.
Yes.
they'll tell you one way or another.
You're right.
What kind of things do people come to see you in your Reiki practice for? And you're in Morgan Hill, right?
Yeah. We're located
in our listeners are all over the place, but if you are in the Morgan Hill area, they can come and check you out there. But tell us, what kind of things do people come to seek out Reiki for?
People come for a myriad of things. I see people who have chronic ailment. I have a client who has IBS, and she's had a lot of success through Reiki and other modalities, learning how to identify triggers for her flares and being able to control her stress level and really keep herself in a positive frame, so she's not doing things that are self-harming or negative or that might bring on a flare. I also have clients that are just young professionals, working moms, stay-at-home moms, people who are done with work and are retired and looking to transition into what am I going to do with my life now that I don't have to get up and go to work every day. I still want to have some purpose and I still want to be a productive member of society. And they're just looking for a deeper connection to their inner self. Really, for me, Reiki, my clientele, it is the most deep and wide breadth of humanity. Because I work with, my husband is an engineer, so I work with people that work in tech and have high stress jobs and want to just kind of divest themselves of some of that internalized stress. I work with people who are very spiritual and want to continue to deepen their Reiki connection. I've actually worked with people who have very terminal illness, including cancer, end stage, Alzheimer's. I've also worked with stroke victim, just a lot of different people, athletes who are in recovery and want to have a quicker recovery from injury.
What most important about Reiki is not just that people are interested in getting a connection with something spiritual, but also the empowerment that comes from having a daily self-care practice that includes the awareness of the spiritual realm and this level, which I think is the keystone of successful Reiki practices, right? Because Reiki is not just something that you have done wham bam once and it's done. I mean, we do hear miraculous stories of radical energy shifts. I mean, that's wonderful, but it's about the practice. And
yes, Reiki is quite a cumulative practice.
And the in-between times. So you can't you don't want to become dependent on a practitioner, because the healing happens within the self. And being a good guide and a good coach, like I know Raina is so important and so empowering in her community, that she is teaching these principles to the people in her sphere. Raina, what would you say is the one super tip that you can tell our listeners that they can practice today if they need to center themselves inside their body, connect to their source or ground? What is the first step that you would empower our listeners with?
I think the first step to just reaching spirit and alignment is breath. Breath work is so important. Just, and you don't have to have, a lot of trainings, or you don't have to become a yogi. It's really just about taking very deep contemplative breaths, wanting to still the mind, wanting to feel the oxygen circulate through the body. You can literally, if you really lean into your breath work, feel the way that oxygen gives life to your body. It will lighten your load. It will, breathing shallowly definitely can create anxiety and stress, because you're not oxygenating your organs, your blood, your body in the right way. So for me, a lot of clients that I work with and I want them to walk away with something is just really some really restorative breath work. And that's something that you can do anywhere at any time. It doesn't take a practitioner. It doesn't take any tools. All it takes is you and your own breath, and just being mindful and intentional about what you're bringing into your body and what you're expelling with those exhales.
Absolutely. And if you take a deep breath and feel into that space behind the heart chakra, that is where the soul ignites, right? That's where your energy sparks. So that is that magic place. And if you go deeply into that place with your breath, excuse me here, you can feel every cell of your body begin to be oxygenated. You can feel the mental clarity. You can feel the relaxation coursing through your body. Raina,
absolutely. Yes.
Please tell our listeners where they can reach out to you if they want more of delicious you.
We are located in Morgan Hill, California. We're at The Secret Door. And our location is 13 West 2nd Street, downtown Morgan Hill, right across from the Big Chair Pop-Up Park. We're here pretty much all the time, and you can get in touch with us on the phone at 408-316-5587, and you can find out about what we've got going on through our social media channels, and that is at The Secret Door MH, both on Facebook and Instagram.
That's awesome. I love that. The secret door. Everybody lean into that secret door. Find that portal yourself that connects you to your source. Raina, is there anything fabulous that you have to offer today that you need us to know about? Do you have any upcoming classes or any special offers that our readers can, or excuse us, my listeners can readers? What am I talking about?
It's the case of the Mondays. Actually, we do. We have some wonderful events happening in this space, but coming up the weekend of March 21st and 22nd, we are going to be having a 2-day workshop called Anew. And we have some guest practitioners and myself coming in from New York, from Inu Anu, Ian and Miko, and they are fabulous. We are going to have fully immersive sound bath therapy. We will be doing some restorative yoga. We are absolutely going to have a wonderful time with a cacao ceremony. If you've never had ceremonial cacao, it is so heart chakra opening, such a beautiful, beautiful elixir, nectar of the gods, they call it. So it's a wonderful, wonderful event and a wonderful ceremony that we do in the middle of the workshop. You'll get tons of tools for self-care and bringing mind, body, spirit balance and work-life balance and relationship elevation and just how to stay in a very high vibration space. And again, that's going to be a 2-day event here at the space in Morgan Hill. And I'm so excited. Ian is a professional musician and his sound bath is so it's transformative. You get launched. You feel like you're journeying through the center of the earth. You're in the rainforest. You're in outer space. You're back in your body. It is fantastic. And Miko is just a beautiful warrior woman, shaman, and she's got the most deep empathetic spirit, and she knows how to soothe your soul and bring you into your best form here on earth. And then I'll also be here doing some guided meditation and also working with people for practical tools that they can take into their everyday life and expand their consciousness and their spirituality.
Right. Well, at this time, when the world is waking up, I am so, so happy that your community has you as a leader, Raina, to support them in this waking journey. I know people that are in walks of life that they never thought they would be having visions or spirit or anything. It's just where we are astrologically at this time. People are popping awake. So get yourself to Morgan Hill, get yourself to San Jose at one of my sound baths, reach out in your area, get some support so that you can walk gracefully in this new enlightened world. It's really, really exciting to be on this journey at this time. Raina, it is such an honor to spend some time with you today. And I know that our listeners got some juicy tips, whether they're somebody who is needing support, whether they're a practitioner who is taking their business to the next level, whether they are a community leader who is looking to network across their community or across the world. I know that they're going to get some great tidbits here today. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me and the audience today. Do you have any parting words for us, Raina?
I just want to thank you as well, Aeriol, for being a light and for providing a platform for people to access this information. When I started my spiritual journey, and I'm still evolving, I'm still just a baby in my journey, I'm just a toddler phase. I really had a lot of questions and not a lot of direction on where to go to get them answered. And I was very, very blessed and lucky to be connected with people in my life, and through continual connection with others that were able to help me, guide me, reassure me that I wasn't insane.
Right? Yes.
And keep
Yes,
me really
because there
grounded.
is the spiritual manic depression. There
Oh
is like
man.
one day you can heal the universe, and the next day you're like, what the heck just happened? Right? There
Right.
is, that is real. That's part of the journey. So if
Yeah.
anybody is experiencing anything like that, please reach out. Do some research online. Find yourself a teacher. Find a community of like-minded people where you
Absolutely.
can bask in a sound bath together, expand your
Mhm.
energies in a safe place, and just create a better world.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having
It's
me.
absolute pleasure. Okay, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for leaning in, and thank you so much for making the world a better place, starting with you. Until next time, happy healing.